Welcome to the stage, Hartmut Braun and Nick Crnkovic.
So yes, thank you Scott and Katrina for the introduction. So in this session we're going to talk about HPE GreenLake in more detail. And before we go there, I just want to spend a few words on our organization for services. We call this HPE Point Next. And recently we did a refresh on all the portfolio structuring and everything. And we now have the focus on advisory-led, which is really helping you on your journey to HANA, but then also allowing you to run a stress-free operation, basically taking care of all the consumption-enabled operational services. So when she talked earlier about cloud or prem, if you want to go on-prem, you can still have a cloud-like experience with HPE GreenLake, which means it's the only thing that's different is that the data is in your data center and the servers, but everything else is like you would have it in the cloud. And how we do that and how we enable this basically for you will you learn in the next couple of minutes. All right, so the advisory led is really starting with the strategy, talking to you about how you come from your current, most likely ERP to S/4HANA. You know, what are the steps you have to take, what is the best advice and what is the best practices that we have from these many deployments that you have seen before. And then also helping you to get it into production, stress-free, and also then operating it through the entire life cycle. So there are some unique challenges that every customer face in regards to SAP HANA, right? First is the cost control aspect. You don't know really how much you need, how much capacity you need to start with, how much capacity you will grow into over time. That's always a risk, and many customers start by buying a big system, just to anticipate demand in 3 to 5 years. But with GreenLake, you also can scale with the demand. You don't have to go upfront into a big investment. You can just buy a monthly bill where you can also adjust then the capacity to your needs as part of our service engagement. The lack of resources. If you think about HANA, you have to think about the skills in your organization to, first of all, implement the system, deploy it on your premise, get it in production, and then also operate it. This is another aspect that we can take care of with GreenLake, and you learn later more from Nick about how we exactly do that. Then faster time to value. If you go for a solution that is delivered by HPE, you can make sure it's from the purchasing to the production, it's only a few weeks time. And if you need to upgrade or if you need to refresh, that also can be built into our service. So it's not just to buy one technology and you stick with it for 5 years. It's also a technology refresh component to this service. Right? And then of course security control is what we talked earlier about on-prem versus cloud. If you really want to be safe, secure on your data, with all this data privacy stuff that's going on right now, on-prem is definitely for the production system and production data the most reliable option that you can pick and choose from. So GreenLake for HANA is basically a combination of a hardware, flexible capacity offering, and the number of services that we have wrapped around to make it a unique experience for our customers, right? And we also have built-in metering, so we can even make sure we know exactly what consumption you use from your system, and you get the monthly bill exactly according to the need, to the use that you have for your data. We do this for SAP, we do this by gigabyte used by SAP application, right? As I said, it's the cloud economics. It's built on the experience of 23,000 shipments that we have done with our organization, so it's more than 3 times than the competition did. So this is also a strong proof point for the ability of our organization to deploy these systems, to have the knowledge and the expertise to advise customers on the journey. And it's all certified hardware from HPE that we use there to make sure it's a very well protected and a very safe environment for you. All right, and this is how we simplify the operation with GreenLake. So GreenLake is basically an umbrella term. We have a number of things in there. You have a single point of accountability. This is also a key part. Our services organization is closely linked with SAP, so whenever there is something going on, we're working together with SAP until the resolution of an issue. So there is never a doubt who is in charge. This is always taken care of by HPE. We have expertise. We have a SAP Competence Center just for support, which is a global team of more than 40 people in the meantime that takes care of all our operations with our customers. We have capacity planning built into service, so we exactly know how your data are growing, your data footprint is growing, and what the needs are that you will have in the next foreseeable future. And the good thing about growing is if you normally would buy a system and you would have to outgrow the system basically with your data requirements. You start a new purchasing cycle, you have to go to procurement, you have to source and everything. With GreenLake, it's only a service, a part of the service. You know, it's not a new purchasing cycle, it's just a line item in your statement of work, and then you can provision a new system, you can upgrade your system, whatever your needs are. So that's kind of a nice feature also that makes it easy for you to quickly improve your system or increase your capacity if that is needed. So I don't want to take all the talking points away for Nick, so therefore I would like now to hand over to Nick. He's a senior solution consultant in the SAP space for many years in North America, and a great expert and talks to many customers, done many projects, and he can give you now the real double click on GreenLake in the upcoming slides. Okay? Nick, take over.
Thank you. This is going to take a little while longer, so if you guys in the back are tired of standing, just go over to Redwood there and grab some cubes and then sit. So, I got one laugh. All right. So the nice thing about the GreenLake solution is that we can actually scale this for your environment, and providing you a scale-up solution that installed on your site is already at your maximum capacity. And so what we do is we actually turn it on as you need it over time. That actually gives you the ability to have a lower payment up front, and then as you grow into it, then your payments will increase, and it becomes that OpEx model that you're looking for. And so I hear a lot of feedback. I guess I'm too close. Okay. So anyway, so built into the whole solution is but not only the build of the systems and the stand up, and if you've got a HANA system, you're going to build an empty working HANA database. We can also put in other services that help migrate into that environment, and then manage it and run it for you. So if you wanted to have a solution that's a lot like the cloud, where they operate it and manage it, and you don't have to worry about it, but you like it on premise, that's what GreenLake provides for you. And it's all built into the holistic set of services to do that. So in the HANA space, what this has is there's a planning design section where we actually scale and size your system, do all the design effort to make sure that you have the right functioning system. Put on not only the database in there, we can do the app servers, the essential services, get all those put in there, the high availability, the DR, do all that architecture work, the design work, and then build that environment for you. And then with the installation startup, of course, when it arrives on site, we put it together and then turn it either over to you, or we'll manage it for you so that we're taking care of that for you. And then we have education services. We have a fairly large education group that they have classes that you can take online, or you can go to an education center and take classes. And they cover a variety of topics, but the idea is that when you get into this new environment, you may be working on technology that you're not familiar with, right? So you may or may not be familiar with HANA or the operating system or the hardware platform. And so the education services can help fill in that gap for you. And like I said, we can monitor the whole stack or part of the stack and address those issues as they come up. So it'll trigger alerts back into our environment, and we can proactively manage all that environment for you. So there are, I was mentioning the operational services, and so this is more of a detail on that, but it comes everywhere from monitoring, anticipating issues, and also looking for events and alerts coming out of the system that would trigger some sort of support environment, incident management, the hardware support where they come in to fix the broken environment. And then we have the proactive services where we keep it up to date. So the patching and the upgrades that are necessary to keep it up to date, we can build that in there for the whole life cycle of the environment. Oops, sorry, wrong direction. So as I mentioned earlier, it's a pay-for-use. So instead of having to capital expense all up front, all the consulting services expenses up front, it's a big expensive admission price to the new environment. We can turn it into a pay-per-use model, and it's an OpEx expense, and you pay for what you consume. And so the system will be scalable. We'll set the parameters down to the size of the database, for example, that you want, and then as you call us up and you say you want more capacity, then we'll turn that on and you'll have that other capacity. And what that means is that you don't have a downtime for an upgrade, right? So if you just bought the hardware, put it on premise, and then needed to do an upgrade or add a node to a scale-out system, or add some more blades and some more memory for a scale-up system, that's an outage. Just expand on the size of the database in a GreenLake solution, there's no outage for you on that. It's just changing some parameters and you're good to go. Okay. So I think I've mentioned the benefits through the process. Just to reiterate them, it's the faster time to value is because we're getting there, we're standing up, we're building it. We've done this over and over again. We do hundreds of these per year, so we can get in there and build this thing rather rapidly. And then at that point, you have a running empty HANA database and app servers that are ready to go, so you can move right on to that environment. You have the simplified IT, and that will take over management and run it for you, and the pay-per-use economics as well. It's a customizable environment as well, so we have the ability to add in a number of different services. So you're actually in control, and you get to determine a lot of what goes in, what goes out of this environment. And so whatever level of services you think you need, we can build that into the GreenLake model. And that gives you a single invoice that's easy to manage and to deal with every month. And you don't have to have all these different tie-in agreements and things like that. It's all in there in the GreenLake agreement. All right. Any questions?